Welcome to Skipping the Book Club, the only book club where the most strenuous activity is hitting the play button and maybe stifling a giggle. So ditch the dusty tomes, forget deciphering metaphors, and let us be your hilarious literary Sherpas. We've braved the pages so you don't have to. Get ready to sound smart without breaking a sweat. Or opening a book. Let the skipping commence.
Have you ever started a book and felt this kind of instant connection to it? Where it's not just words, but you're right there living the story with the characters.
Oh, totally. And I think that's what makes a book truly captivating, when it pulls you in like that.
Yeah, for sure. And that's exactly the kind of book we're diving into today. Emily Everett's All That Life Can Afford.
Okay, a debut novel that Reese Witherspoon chose for her book club. And it's been getting a lot of attention, and we'll see why.
And to do that, to really understand what makes this book so interesting, we've got a ton of sources, reviews from Publishers Weekly, all the chatter on Goodreads, even listen to a bit of the audiobook.
Wow. Okay, so the full experience then.
Yeah, we wanted to do this one right. Get to the heart of the story, understand the characters, the settings, and, what it all means for us as readers. What does this book have to say about our own lives, our ambitions, our need to belong?
That's a great approach.
So let's start with the basics, right? Who is this Anna at the center of it all?
So Anna, this young woman, comes from a working class background in America. And what's really interesting is how her whole view of London is shaped by the books she finds at her local library.
Oh, so she builds up this picture in her head before even setting foot there.
Exactly. It's this romanticized version of London. And then she actually moves there after college in 2009.
But that picture she had in her mind doesn't quite match up with the reality, does it?
Not exactly. I mean, she's living in a moldy flat trying to make ends meet. Not exactly the literary life she imagined,
Yeah, that's got to be a tough reality check.
For sure. And I think this disillusionment really sets the stage for the choices she makes later on.
Okay, so then what happens?
So she's working as an SAT prep tutor, and it's through this job that she ends up meeting the Wilder family, this super wealthy family.
Wow, talk about a change of scenery.
Yeah, I mean, from a moldy flat to Saint-Tropez.
Saint-Tropez, parties and yachts and all that.
Exactly, and this is where the main conflict starts to emerge. Well, she meets these two young men, right? One who's kind of the epitome of this privileged world she's stumbled into, and then another who sees her for who she really is, the girl from the moldy flat.
Oh, so she's caught in this tug of war between two different worlds.
Yeah, and it really makes you think where does she belong? Who does she want to be?
And the book doesn't shy away from the whole class and privilege thing, does it?
No, not at all. Actually, a lot of reviewers mentioned how the book really digs into these issues. It peels back the glossy layers to show what's underneath.
For example?
There's this really a poignant detail about Anna's mother struggling with diabetes because she can't afford the right medication.
Yeah.
And then that really highlights the disparity between Anna's background and the world she's now surrounded by.
That's powerful stuff. And Publishers Weekly talked about Anna's acute and sometimes self-destructive longing for acceptance within this elite circle. It's she's so desperate to fit in.
Yeah, and that desperation leads her to make some questionable decisions.
And speaking of fitting in, a few of the sources brought up Pride and Prejudice, they saw some parallels there. What do you think?
I can definitely see it. Publishers Weekly even called it an exquisite retelling of Pride and Prejudice.
Oh, wow. So a modern-day Elizabeth Bennet?
In a way, yeah. There's Callum, who's described as this dashing and brooding figure, like a Mr. Darcy type.
Yeah.
And then there's Theo, who at first seems gallant and attentive, but turns out to be a total player like Wickham.
Oh, so the classic, charming, but untrustworthy guy.
Right. And then there's Anna's journey of self-discovery, just like Elizabeth's in Pride and Prejudice. They both have to figure out who they are and what they want.
The one Goodreads reviewer, Angie Miele, mentioned that she felt the audiobook pacing didn't quite match the Pride and Prejudice vibe, so maybe it depends on how you experience the story.
That's a really good point. The medium can definitely affect our perception.
Now let's talk about the setting. London, it's almost like a character itself in the book.
Yeah, and I think that comes from the author's own experience. Emily Everett has said that she lived in London in her 20s and was skint.
Skint.
Yeah, broke, basically. And she saw all these people around her living these charmed lives. So she really captures that contrast in the book.
And that Samuel Johnson quote, "When a man is tired of London, he is tired of life, for there is in London all that life can afford." It's the book's motto, right?
Absolutely. It sets up this idea of London as a place of endless possibilities. But for Anna, at first, it feels like those possibilities are just out of reach.
Yeah, like in that audiobook preview, we heard they describe London in October 2009, and it's so vivid. But then you have Anna worrying about whether she can even afford a panini and tea.
Exactly. That juxtaposition is so powerful.
And it really speaks to Anna's journey, which is about so much more than just moving to a new city.
Right. It's about her trying to write herself new.
Yeah.
As the book says, like she wants to reinvent herself, leave her past behind.
But then it becomes about figuring out how to create a new life without completely erasing who she is.
Yeah. And that's what resonated with a lot of Goodreads reviewers. They really connected with Anna's determination to build a better life, but also her struggles and mistakes along the way.
And that gets to the core question the book asks, right? Like, what will it cost her to actually achieve her dreams?
Because there is a cost.
It seems like it. I mean, she starts lying and hiding things to fit in with the Wilders, which puts a strain on her real friendships.
Yeah, and one reviewer even pointed out that those kinds of deceptions can lead to isolation, so it makes you think, is it worth it?
And it makes you wonder how much of Emily Everett's own life is reflected in Anna's story. You know, she talked about her time in London struggling financially and also about the grief of losing her mother.
I'm sure those experiences have shaped the book in powerful ways, that sense of loss, that desire for something different. Those are universal themes.
So, all in all, how has the book been received?
Well, it's a Reese's Book Club pick, so that's a pretty big deal.
For sure. And Reese herself loved it. She said she was hooked from the start and praised the book's exploration of love, ambition, and the cost of belonging.
And Publishers Weekly gave it a really positive review, too. They highlighted the strong writing and the engaging romance, even though they acknowledged the Pride and Prejudice similarities.
And on Goodreads, the average rating is almost 4 stars, which is pretty high.
Yeah, there are tons of comments calling it a stunning debut and utterly addictive. Of course, not everyone loved it. Some people found the pacing a bit off or didn't connect with Anna as a character.
Which is totally fair. You know, different books resonate with different people.
Exactly. But the fact that it's sparking these conversations is a good sign.
So to sum it all up for our listeners, All That Life Can Afford takes us on this really immersive journey with Anna as she navigates these worlds of privilege and ambition.
It makes us question what it truly means to belong and the compromises we might make to achieve the life we want.
And it's all set against these beautifully described backdrops, London and the French Riviera. It's like you're right there with her.
It's a story that stays with you, makes you reflect on your own experiences, those times when you've maybe felt like an outsider or strive for something that seemed just beyond your grasp.
Yeah, and as you go about your day after this deep dive, think about those moments. What did you have to give up to get where you are? What did it cost you? And ultimately, what did it afford you? It's a question Anna's story really brings to life.
And those are the kinds of questions that make a book truly worthwhile.
Couldn't agree more. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive.
This was fun. Thanks for having me.